Welcome, Tri-County. Today is our first Deer Day of the 2018-2019 school year. This year, Deer, though, is going to focus not on reading, but on math. So Deer is going to stand for Drop Everything and Reason. To explain a little bit more about this is Mrs. Schambach.
This year we would really like everybody to embrace the fact that everybody can be a math person. So we're going to have different activities and things for you to do that will just get you playing with numbers, having fun with math, and that will happen when we normally had the reading time on Wednesdays.
Some of these problems will be easy as pie.
You know, Mr. Grettencourt, I think some students would really like a step-by-step process for how to become a math person.
Great. Okay, step one, do math.
Like, any math?
Any kind of math. Step two, be a person. Some of you may struggle with that, but hopefully you can get there.
You can do it.
So, that's the only two steps to be a math person. Do math and be a person.
You may have been told or led to believe that some people are math people and some aren't, or that math isn't for you. Well, it turns out that's not true. Everyone is born with the innate ability to do well in math, and whether you do well or not comes from the experiences you've had and the beliefs that you hold.
Everyone can do really well in math.
There may be some people, who seem naturally good at math, or just love it, when you don't. But that has come about because of experiences they have had. Anyone can get to the highest level of math in school.
There is no such thing as a math person or the idea that some people are math people. Everyone is a math person.
Let's look at the brain evidence. Scientists now know that experiences grow your brain, and the brain is so plastic that it can rewire itself and grow in a really short space of time.
This is how learning works. When you learn something, a synapse fires in your brain. It's like an electric current. And the pathways formed by the synapse are like water in the sand. The more you return to an idea, the stronger the pathway gets. If you don't go back to it, it will wash away. When you learn something, your brain grows, and if you learn it deeply, it grows and stays. So you may think some people are just brainy or smart because they just are, but it all comes from what they've learned. And
you can catch up to them.
When you learn, synapses fire. And this doesn't just happen when you're in a class, it can happen when you read, when you build something, when you have a conversation, when you get an idea, and when you make a mistake. Synapses are firing in your brain every day.
The brain is like a muscle. The more you work the muscle, the more it grows, just like in the gym.
If weightlifters exercise with the same size weights, they wouldn't grow muscles, and they have to keep increasing the weights. It's the same with math. The harder you think, the more you struggle with an idea, the more your brain grows.
Here is some of the evidence that has stunned scientists in recent years and made them realize that everyone's brains can grow and change at any time.
Taxi drivers in London have to learn 20,000 streets and 25,000 landmarks in London before they become qualified. They study for 2 to 4 years, and at the end of that time they take a test which is just simply called the knowledge. When they've finished their training, scientists have found that the hippocampus in their brain is bigger. And the hippocampus is the area of the brain that's specialised in acquiring and using spatial information. When they retire from being a taxi driver, their hippocampus shrinks back down. That's how flexible the brain is.
Scientists took a group of people who could not juggle and split them in half. With one group, they really encouraged them to practice, also showing them some good ways to practice.
Not surprisingly, the group that practiced learned to juggle and the other group didn't. But the practice group also had significant brain changes. They grew the seeing and movement areas of their brains, and they developed more ability.
So the brain is much more plastic than anyone ever thought. In one of the studies, a 6-week training course, when students worked on a task just for a few minutes each day, changed the structure of their brains. And we should think about that. Working on a task for a few minutes per day for 6 weeks can cause your brain to rewire and grow. If that's true, imagine what you can do for your brain over the course of a year in a math lesson.
we're going to be doing this school-wide. It's called 4-4s.
What's 4-4s?
Well, you're going to have to use 4 4s and any mathematic operation to create the answers 1 through 20. So for each answer, you have to have used 4 times. You can use addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, parentheses, square root, factorial.
Factorial. How
Yeah.
do you do factorial?
Factorial, you have 4 factorial. That means you're taking 4 times 3 times 2 times 1.
Oh, I get it.
So that could help you out. Another thing you might want to consider is that you could take a couple of your 4s if needed and put them together to make 44. Or maybe you'll even need to throw in a decimal point and use 0.4. But for every 1 through 20, you need to have used 4 4s. So let's just say I was just trying some things out. If I did 4 plus 4 factorial, and then times, let's do 4 divided by the square root of 4. Let's see here.
Have to remember your order of operations.
That's right. So what would we do first, Mr. Rettenford?
Well, I would probably do the square root.
Okay, so 4 divided by square root of 4. This is going to be 2. So this portion is giving us 2. All right. Our 4 factorial, we're going to need to have calculated that. And if you look over here, 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, we're going to end up with 24.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do our multiplication for 48, and then add 4 more, so we would have 52 here. So that's not going to fit into our 1 through 20, but gives you an example of how you can start rearranging, using your operations to get the answers 1 through 20. So work as a class, help each other, put your ideas up on the board or record them on a paper, take a picture of it, and bring it to me, and maybe we'll have a little reward of some kind for the class that can get the most accomplished today on the 4 4s. Have fun.